And Wildcat basketball is on the air from St. Paul. It's Audra Clark Day at the Butler Center as today the Wildcats host Macalester College and their Scots. Matt Nelson alongside of engineer Glenn Thompson welcoming you into St. Paul's Butler Center on the campus of St. Catherine University. It's a special day. Let's go downstairs and listen in.
Macalester College Scots and your St. Catherine University Wildcats. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask for Kevin and Paula Clark, as well as any additional family members of Audra's, to join her at center court, as we'd like to honor the St. Catherine University Wildcat basketball team's lone senior member, Audra Clark. The senior guard from Kenyon, Minnesota is graduating as one of the most decorated players in program history. Audra is the Wildcats' all-time career assist leader with 375 total over her 5-year run. She currently ranks second in career points with 1,468 in 105 career games, starting all 105 of those games. Audra has 450 total career rebounds while scoring an astounding 340 points this season to lead the Wildcats. Clark has earned MIAC All-Conference First-Team honors in her junior season and MIAC All-Conference Honorable Mention in her sophomore campaign. Clark ranks number 2 currently in the conference for assists this season with 105 and number 6 in points. At this time, head coach Don Mulhern would like to honor Clark with a special gift and will say a few words about the senior.
I just want to say to the Clark family, Mom and Dad, Audra, Meg, you guys are a part of the St. Kate's family now for years to come. And then Meg and Audra always say, Katie's for life. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Audra Clark. At this time, we ask that everyone please rise and remove your caps as we honor America as Jillian Foyt will sing the national anthem. Now, fans, it's time to meet the starters for both teams in alternating order. First up for the Scots, a 5'6" sophomore from Burbank, California, number 1, Justine Barraza. Starting for your Wildcats, a 5'10" junior from Minneapolis, Minnesota, number 11, Danica Cambris. For the Scots, a 5'5" sophomore from Mill Valley, California, number 3, Katie Sowerby. And for your Wildcats, a 5'6" first year from Cottage Grove, Minnesota, number 14, Taylor Johnson. Next up for the Scots, a 5'6" junior from Overland Park, Kansas, number 12, Holly Hull. And next for your Wildcats, a 5'9" junior from St. Paul, Minnesota, number 15, Jackie Radford. Next up for the Scots, a 5'6" junior from Bloomer, Wisconsin, number 20, Tiana Loisel. And next up for your Wildcats, a 5'10" first year from Maple Grove, Minnesota, number 23, Sam Orth. Up for the Scots, a 5'8" senior from St. Louis Park, Minnesota, number 24, Addie Perkins. And next for your Wildcats, senior guard from Kenyon, Minnesota, number 13, Audra Clark. Assistant coaches for the Scots are Sheyu Oduni.
There they are, the starting lineups for the Wildcats and the Scots as we welcome you back into the Butler Center. Matt Nelson alongside of engineer Glenn Thompson. We're calling it Audra Clark Day at the Butler Center as we welcome you back in. It is a day that, although both of these teams have failed to qualify for the MIAC's postseason, could end up being a pretty historic day. Audra Clark comes into the ballgame with 1,468 points. That is just 8 points shy of tying the all-time record set by Lachey Holt, who broke Laura Kabfel's record, and 9 points away from becoming the program's all-time leading scorer. Clark already the program's all-time leader in assists. So for number 13, 40 more minutes to go in her Wildcat career on the hardwood, and we'll hear from Audra at halftime. We've got a great interview. I sat down with Audra pre-game, and we had a great conversation, and pretty emotional. It's always a bittersweet day, senior day, especially for somebody like Clark who overcame the terrible leg injury last season. We're underway in St. Paul. Chance for Audra Clark to make history on number 13's day. Orth has it. Back up top now. Johnson has it. One dribble to her right. Sends it back for Cambrai. Orth is wide open and knocks down the first basket of the ball game. Sam Orth averaging just under 10 points per game in this her freshman season to go along with 5.5 rebounds. And in her freshman season started all 25 games for second-year head coach Don Mulhern. Today's broadcast is interactive. We will invite you, your final chance this season, to write into Wildcats booth at gmail.com. We already had one email come into the inbox as Macalester is on the board for the first time. It's Holly Hull. Holly Hull averaging 7.5 per game, ties it at 2. Hull, the junior out of Overland Park, Kansas, suburban Kansas City. Cambrai again to Orth. 4 points for Orth and a 4-2 lead for St. Kate's. Driving scoop layup is offline, and Radford hauls in the rebound. Had an email come in from Anna Halverson, and her husband Tucker, living in the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, enjoying the shows all year long as the Wildcats knock down a three-pointer. Donica Cambrai, averaging more than 15 points a game, puts the Wildcats on top by 5. Anna is Audra's older sister, so she's watching with a close eye the live box score as Clark needs 9 points to become the program's all-time leading scorer. Three-pointer in and out for the Scots. Rebound Orth. They're watching today, and she wanted a special shout-out from Anna and Tucker to Audra Clark and congratulating her on a great career as Clark drives in. First shot for Clark is offline, but an offensive board for Orth. Clark drives, shoots. Shot may have been blocked, and it's chased down by Loisel. These two teams played earlier this season. It was back on the 19th of January. And at the Leonard Center just up the street, Macalester won 75-56. A game that the Wildcats came in and were just very flat in the outset of that game, and it ended up costing them. Three-pointer knocked down Tiana Loisel, the junior out of Bloomer, Wisconsin. More than 7 points a game in her junior campaign. Playing in her 25th game, starting her 21st. Knocks down the three, and it's a 2-point game. Loose ball down low. Cambrai has it, and a jump ball called. It'll stay, it's Macalester ball, pardon me. First substitution of the ball game for either team, as Catherine Podol will come in, and she'll give Addie Perkins a breather. Not yet 3 minutes into the ball game. So our first email into wildcatsbooth@gmail.com comes from Denver, and it's Audra's older sister Anna watching with her husband Tucker. Thanks for watching all season long, and we hope you enjoy one last game in 2018-2019. Now low, short jumper is short, rebound Radford. Talking to Don Mulhern before the game as Clark will let loose on a three-pointer and knock it down. Clark in this her senior season just under 15 points a game, 5 rebounds per game, and just shy of 5 assists per contest as well. Good for second in the conference. Barraza down low got fouled, and the Wildcats had no answer for Barraza. The last time these two teams met, she had 27 points on 9 of 15 shooting. She was 5 of 8 shooting the three in that game, was Justine Barraza, the sophomore from Burbank out in California. Couple dribbles from Podol. Long two-pointer is off. Slow shooting start for Macalester. One exception was the three-pointer. Clark slams on the brakes, now drives, kicks, Johnson three-pointer, rattled in and out, rebound Loisel. I was talking to Don, though, and I said, how do you describe, it was something I was thinking about this morning, a player's impact like Clark, as Hull knocks down the layup. She's got 4 points here in the first quarter. It's impossible to say when somebody's the best. How can you say that somebody who played in 2019 or whenever is better than somebody who played 10 years ago? The league is different. The game is different. They play different positions. They were asked to do different things. But to fathom a player having a bigger impact in their career than Audra Clark is pretty impossible to do. When you consider that she's 6 points away from breaking the all-time scoring record and is the program's all-time leader in assists, well, that's a lot of baskets. And it's the most made shots in program history that you had an impact in, whether you took the shot or set somebody up to take the shot, as Cambryce just had her third assist of the afternoon to Orth, 12-7 score. So whether you're facilitating the bucket or scoring it yourself, it's really impossible to picture a player having a bigger impact than Clark has had in her 5 seasons in St. Paul. Last year, of course, with the injury. And a reminder that Audra will join us at halftime. Benjamin in, Fosness in as well. Radford and Johnson at the bench with the Wildcats up by 5. And Don Mulhern in our pregame show talked about, he really got emotional. I mean, he was fighting back tears talking about the impact. I was talking about the impact that Clark has made on the floor. I can pick up her season box score. I can read you all these records. I can read you all these numbers until we're blue in the face. And I can say that that's a great impact. But he was talking about the impact that she's had with this very young team. And he talked about how really she's taken that role seriously as a mentor. So in that way, you're having an impact not only in your playing career, but after you've departed as well. And she told me she was going to be doing adulting. I said, well, join the club. That's what we do, adulting. So the email address is, once again, is wildcatsbooth@gmail.com. Whether you're rooting for the Scots or the Wildcats today, shoot us a note. Orth into the front court. Layup good. Great start for Sam Orth. She has 8 of the Wildcats' 14 points, and the lead is 7. Last time out for St. Kate's, a heartbreaker. A game that if they could have won in Winona on Wednesday night against St. Mary's, it would have put them in the driver's seat for the MIAC's postseason. Maraza knocks down the three-pointer. 14-10 the new score. Embrace takes it on into the front court. So everything was on the line on Wednesday night. The Wildcats would have held tiebreaker against St. Mary's, and the Cardinals are playing undefeated St. Thomas this afternoon anyway. So it would have put the Wildcats at a darn near certainty to go to the playoffs. But the game was close. They were within 3 in the fourth quarter, 46-43. I made a note of it. With 9:47 to go in the game, and the final score 71-56. St. Mary's really padded the lead late with free throws to eliminate the Wildcats from postseason contention. Air ball, Wildcats ball. Radford back in, Orth to the bench. Great start for the freshman post player Orth. We've talked a lot about Audra Clark. She did have a great game on Wednesday night. Tried to carry the Wildcats into that chance to go to the postseason with 1 game left. She had 20 points, but it wasn't enough. Randy Blattner, great two-sport star at St. Mary's, had 16 points on the way to the 71-56 win. And she's a really good athlete, Blattner. Great volleyball player, great basketball player. Major impact on both of those teams for St. Mary's. Good start offensively for the Wildcats, up 4. Radford spins, shoots, shot rattled out, rebound. Benjamin Fosness battled her for it. It came loose, and Justine Barraza has it. And Barraza's fouled in the front court. Radford and Amaker were chasing her down. Let's see who gets the foul. Jackie does. The first foul against Jackie. And the third foul against St. Kate's. Holly Hull back in. And Celine Samba to the bench, the freshman out of Eau Claire. Raza drives baseline, got a shot off over Fosness, but it's no good. Loose ball chased down by Togneri. Back up top, Lucy Swift. High arcing three-pointers off of the front iron. Rebound by Isaacson. Wildcats ball. Not really your most relied upon scorer. This is Benjamin down low, and then the three-point shooters, Amaker and Isaacson, on the floor right now. Tried to get it down low to Nelson. Macalester read that like a book. It was picked off by Togneri on the steal. Three-pointer on the way for Macalester in transition. That's short. Rebound, Isaacson. Isaacson playing in her 19th game. She started one ball game as well this year. Trying to get it down to Benjamin. Instead, three-pointer, too strong. Rebound by Hull as she was able to box out Amaker. Into the front court. Macalester on the break. And they score. Catherine Podol, sophomore out of San Geronimo, California. Just short of 10 points a game is Podol on the season. Seven to shoot for the Wildcats. Back up top with it. Amaker, three! Great pass. Fosness and Amaker knocks it down. And into the front court. It's stolen away by the Wildcats. Isaacson comes up with it. 2-on-2. Isaacson off of the window. So a quick little 5-0 run puts the Wildcats up 19-12. Inside of a minute left in the first quarter, and a foul is going to be called. It's going to send Podol to the free throw line. The foul is the fourth against the Wildcats in the first quarter. And I think it's going to be the first on Benjamin. Now they're going to call it against Amaker. Her first foul. Benjamin was in there as well. Audra Clark, her senior day, back in along with Cam Bryson Orth. A little scoring punch. Johnson, too, off of the bench for Don Mulhern. All-time career assist leader, came into the game with 375 of those. Points leader, second on the all-time list, just 6 away from breaking that record. 106 career games, started all 106 of them. Team points leader this season with 340 of them. 450 total career rebounds, which would be pretty good for a post player, much less a 5'7" guard. MIAC first team in 16-17, an honorable mention in 15-16. Clark goes to her left, now spins, right hand, got fouled and one. Count the bucket for Clark. She'll go to the free throw line with a chance at a three-point play and a chance to build on the 8-point Wildcat lead. Clark, good free throw shooter, and has had some of her best success from the free throw line in her senior year, 74%. Three-point play for Clark. She's 3 points away from breaking the all-time scoring record at St. Kate's. And we're still in the first quarter, 36 seconds to go. A 9-point lead for the Wildcats. Loiseau goes to that left hand, strong left hand drive, kicks. Jump shot too strong for Burmester. Rebound Venegas, who's in off of the bench. Nice pass into the front court, and Orth finishes it off. Oh, that was a beauty. Orth has 10 first quarter points. It's an 11-point Wildcat lead. Burmester's layup is off. And the horn sounds on a really good first quarter for St. Kate's. We've played 10 minutes in St. Paul, and the Wildcats have dominated the Scots. 24-13 the score. We go to the second quarter. When we come back, you're listening to Wildcat basketball.
As a family-owned and operated business since 1971, Goodmanson Construction continues to develop concrete relationships with their commercial and residential customers throughout the upper Midwest. Questions or concerns about concrete, asphalt, and the company's installation process, check out their website at goodmansonconstruction.com. Thank you, Goodmanson Construction.
We go to the second quarter in St. Paul. Matt Nelson alongside of Glenn Thompson, our engineer. Anytime Clark touches the ball in the front court, you could have history made. Just 3 points away from breaking the all-time scoring record. Gave that three a long think. Cambry's lost it, tipped it back out to Clark. Why not? Three-pointer, record breaker. Well, history made. Audra Clark lines up a long three-pointer on a tip from Cambryce, and she is now the all-time career points leader at St. Kate's with a total of 1,477 points. Congrats, Audra Clark. Wow. And I told her in our interview that you'll hear at halftime, when she came up very early this year, got a shot blocked and came down and was limping all over the place and really looked like she was hurt. I told her that I was certain, because there's not a lot of tread, there can't be much tread left on those tires as hard as she plays. And after the injury she sustained, I said, I thought your career was over. And she said, I did too. So never been happier to be wrong about something like that. For her to have the senior year that she's had and now break that record, So Clark will leave the program in about 29 minutes of game clock as the program's all-time record holder in points and assists. Cambryce was just called for her first foul. It'll send Justine Barraza to the free throw line. She's a really good free throw shooter as well, 76% on the season. So Clark gets those 9 points she needed in less than 11 minutes of game clock. Barraza goes 2 for 2 from the line. 5 points for Barraza in this first half. I mentioned she went off when these two teams last played. She had 27 points in that game back in January that Macalester won. Down low, Clark finds Cambryce. 5 first half points for Cambryce. Wildcats are all over Macalester, 29-15. Orth is going to get called for the foul. It's going to send Hull to the free throw line. Orth's first. And the third against St. Kate's here in the second quarter. They're all fired up. They're running around playing like their hair's on fire. Hull to the free throw line. And she shoots that high arcing free throw. Got the big bounce off of the front of the iron and knocked it down. Hull starting her 20th game this season as she got the same role twice. 6 points for Hull. Junior out of an area very familiar to me down there, Overland Park, Kansas. Yeah, impossible for Glenn's hair to ever be on fire. Great start for the Wildcats. And you never want to think of what might have been, but such a great offensive start in a season where at times baskets have been hard to come by. Clark, three-pointer, too strong. Rebound, Barraza. I always felt like if this team found its way into the playoffs that they could have played spoiler. So much talent. Jump ball called. And it'll stay with Macalester. Radford in off of the bench. Just thought they had the right mix with Clark's veteran leadership and what she brings to the backcourt. Cambryce's raw talent. The two young post players, Benjamin and Orth, and then Radford getting the rebounds and making big shots. It wouldn't be the team you'd want to play, I don't think, but just at times this year, Don Mulhern told me before the game, we'd run into stretches where we just couldn't score enough. And he said, that's been our bugaboo. Loisel drives, got by Kerchek, kicked it for Hull. Hull's shot off the back iron and out of bounds, Wildcat ball. Don told me that in the game Wednesday night after they reviewed the film, the Wildcats had missed 10 layups in that do-or-die game. A win Wednesday night wouldn't have clinched a playoff spot for St. Kate's, but a loss did eliminate them. And they would have controlled their own destiny as well. Then Mulhern bails out Kerchek, who got trapped in the backcourt. Don takes a timeout, and we'll take one with the players. Thanks for spending a part of your weekend with us. You're listening to Wildcat Basketball. Wildcats 29, Macalester 17.
A proud sponsor of Wildcat Athletics since all the way back in 1971, the Universal Athletic Team has been passionate about fueling the dreams of athletes, and they put all their know-how into doing just that. By servicing and selling athletic gear to local athletes, high schools, and colleges, Universal Athletic has dedicated its heart and soul to the support of sports, fitness, and health programs in schools and communities. Transporting Wildcat athletes is in the capable hands of Northfield Lines Incorporated, dedicated to ensuring that your travel experience is a positive one. Call to request a quote or to make a reservation at 888-670-8068 or visit their website at northfieldlines.com.
Wildcats turn it over out of the timeout, and Macalester makes it count. Holly Hull has 8 points in the first half. That's well above her season average. Average is 7.5 per game. Matt Nelson back with you. Clark drives, spins, left-handed layup, too strong. I'd love to see a breakdown for Clark. How many points came to the free throw line when she does that little move, when she crosses half court and then slams on the brakes and gets fouled from behind, and how many came on that little low block, back in there, spin around and shoot the ball with the left hand. That'd be a fascinating little analytic. Nelson traveled, turnover. 29-19 your score, 6:54 left in the first half. Nelson to the bench, Benjamin in. Next year's team will have a different look. As I look at this team, there's just no doubt in my mind that this team is going to live inside the paint next year. Benjamin, Orth, they'll be an inside-out type team. They're going to have to find somebody that can shoot open three-pointers because they're going to pack it in there. Cam Bryce does her best work in the paint. Orth, Benjamin, Radford, those are all low-post players. There's Cam Bryce to the basket. She scored. Oh, she went right at Podol. Blew right by her, and Cam Bryce has 7. Wouldn't believe me if you're just watching this game if I told you that Macalester beat the Wildcats by 19 back in January. Cam Bryce collects the miss by Togmary. Benjamin outside for Kerchak. Now Cam Bryce. Clark, pump fake, drive, wide open. Cam Bryce in the back door. Timeout Macalester. Wildcats 33, Scots 19. Let's break with the players. You're listening to Wildcat Basketball.
Twin Cities Orthopedics offers a full spectrum of orthopedic care to individuals suffering sports-related problems and injuries. Their doctors are team physicians for St. Catherine's University as well as Augsburg University, Hamlin University, and others around the state of Minnesota. Visit tcomn.com and thank you to Twin Cities Orthopedics. For exceptional service and selection, look no further than Fury Motors in St. Paul. They're the #1 family-owned dealer to buy a Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram since all the way back in 1963. So much to choose from, and they make the shopping process easy. Also offering genuine service and financing. Visit stpaul.furymotors.com for more information.
Back out of the break in St. Paul, Wildcats 33, Scots 19. Did some math before the game, which is pretty scary proposition. That's right, Glenn, new math. Open shot knocked down by Kayla Togmary, sophomore out of Southern California. Ventura, 4.5 points per game, and Togmary's been their leading rebounder, 7 a game. So, yes, getting back to that story. Thank you, sir. Clark scores, just patting her. You know, you don't want to break the record, Glenn. You want to get out there a ways. You want to score 30 or 40 this afternoon. Give yourself some space for Cam Bryce over the next 2 years because she's going to be the one chasing that record down next. Spinning, shooting, shot short. Rebound Togmary, shot blocked by Benjamin. Excuse me. In Clark's 4 seasons, 5 technically, at St. Kate's, the team's record is 61-65. A 37-50 MIAC record, and twice they went to the MIAC's postseason. In the 4 years that predated that, so one athletic career, three-pointer good for Lucy Swift. The Wildcats' record was 13 wins and 87 losses, 9 conference wins, and 79 conference losses. Benjamin scores. Now, Glenn, you got a blank stare on your face. I'm going to read that again. The 4 years prior to Clark's arrival in St. Paul, the Wildcats won 13 games. In every year minus this season, they've won more than that many per year. Shot for Cambrai is short. And twice to the playoffs. And if you take away the 2010-2011 season where the Wildcats won 6 games, the 3 years prior to Clark's arrival, the Wildcats were 7 wins and 68 losses. 7 and 68. 7 wins and 68 losses the 3 years prior to Clark and company arriving in St. Paul. And it's not a one-person thing, but, you know, I mean, she had a lot of help. Those were good teams. But what a career. Shot short. Rebound Johnson. They had the Lees and the Jennings and the Ambrice down low scores, and the Ambrice has 11 points in the first half, and the Holtz and the Cambrices, but awfully impressive when you take a look at that. Barraza kicking outside. Macalester trying to close out this first half strong, and a foul is going to be called against St. Kate's as Saba was clobbered, and Amaker called for her second foul. My man Glenn off microphone asked where the now program's third all-time leading scorer, Laura Cabell, fits into that. 2010 would have been the first season without her. So her last year was 09-10. Then the year after that, the Wildcats won 6. 6 games, 1 game, 2 games, 4 games, and then they have gotten to double-digit wins all 5 years since Clark's arrival. Saba knocks down her second. Kerchek for Isaacson. Now Kerchek for a little crossover. She traveled. And Venegas is going to come in for Kerchek. I like Kerchek's game coming in off of that bench. There's no doubt, just on the eye test alone, she's struggling right now a bit with her confidence, but she can give Don a lot off of that bench, I think, in the years to come. Three on the way, and it's good. Nice shot, Diana Loisel. She's got 6 points in the first half. This next 2 minutes and 30 seconds of game clock, critical for both teams, because the Wildcats have dominated this game, but Macalester is starting to creep their way back in there. Shot no good, and Cambrice is down and injured under the basket. The Wildcats score. And Cambrice is going to go to the bench. She looks like she's okay. She jogs over to the bench on her own power. One thing that's kind of hard to imagine, a player as athletic as Cambrice winding up wiped out like that, and that there isn't some foul somewhere, whether it's on her or somebody else. Johnson comes up with a loose ball. 41-28 the score. Wildcats trying to finish this half strong, and a foul's called against Saba, her first. Macalester under the direction of first-year head coach Pamela Finlay, with a record of 6-18 this season, 4-13 in the MIAC. Nice pass down low and off of the window. Isaacson, who has 4 in the first half. And on that bench, Don Mulhern thinking, boy, I wish I could have gotten 43 a half out of this team all season long. And we still got 90 seconds to go in the first half. It's been a very good first half of basketball for St. Kate's. Wildcats this year at times really struggled shooting the ball. 38% from the floor in the season, 27% shooting the three, 65% from the free throw line. And that three-pointer is good. Johnson has her first three. She's been really a bright spot shooting the three ball for St. Kate's, 34% on the season.
1 minute remaining.
1 minute to go in the half. Drive. Long two-pointer on the way for Perkins. Give a little shout out to Perkins as well, the senior from St. Louis Park. She's playing in her final game of her career. Perkins playing in all 25 this season for Macalester. Even started 3 ball games. 42 seconds left in the first half, 30 on the shot clock. But if the Wildcats could improve that 27% next year at shooting the three to something like, I don't know, 34, 33, 35, they would really be in a good spot. Because they're going to have a lot of chances to shoot the three. They got great post players, Cam Bryce, Benjamin, Orth. If you can shoot a three, this is the place I think you'd want to come play for the next 3 or 4 years. Benjamin to the free throw line. After the first foul against Saba. Pardon me, I've got it as their second. "46 first half points for St. Kate's. Scored 56 against St. Mary's on Wednesday night. Second shot good for Benjamin. "17 seconds to go in the first half. And Fostis will come in, play some defense here in these last 17 seconds. And I think we got an issue with the scoreboard. Yes, the clock isn't moving. Time has stood still in St. Paul. Stay tuned, though. Don't go anywhere at halftime. We've got Audra Clark coming your way. Great conversation I had with Audra pre-game ahead of her senior day and what would become a historic day for her. She broke the all-time scoring record at St. Kate's early in the second quarter. Now with a dozen seconds to go, no shot clock. Macalester can hold it for the last shot if that's what they want. Barraza into the corner. Loisel drove baseline, lost it. Venegas has it, and that's the end of the first half. What a great first half for St. Kate's. They score 48 points and take a 20-point lead into the locker room through 20 minutes. St. Kate's 48, Macalester 28. First half behind us. Looks like the dance team is in the house, so we'll carry that live. And then we'll hear our interview with Audra Clark on Audra Clark Day at the Butler Center. You're listening to Wildcat Basketball with Matt and Glenn.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your St. Catherine University Wildcat dancers performing their common routine choreographed by Monique Dunn. The Wildcat dancers will be competing this routine on Sunday, February 24th at 3 p.m. at the Minneapolis Convention Center for their regional championships. Good luck, ladies.
There they go, Wildcat dance team. Now let's hear from Audra Clark. It's her day, after all, for number 13, her final game, wearing the purple and gold. Senior day. Audra Clark joins us. It's halftime at the Butler Center, and we'll keep it short. Audra, what are you feeling today? It's a bittersweet day. You got 40 more minutes of basketball to go in your career.
Yeah. It hasn't really sunk in yet. I'm just really excited. I'm really sad. There's a lot of emotions. I wish we would have had extra games after this, but you know, when I think back on everything, it's like I've done so much that I wanted to do and accomplish, so I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
I was showing you before we went on here the Audra Clark file. The 4 years prior to your arrival, so one athletic career before you came to St. Paul, the Wildcats were 13-87 and only won 9 games in the MIAC. For reference, you guys did that twice, almost did it 4 times in 1 year. And since your arrival, 2 playoff appearances, 37 wins in the MIAC, 61 wins overall. When you look at that, I always think you want to leave something better than you found it. When you look at it like that, it's got to be mission accomplished, right?
Yeah, I'm so proud of what I've done here, and more just what my teammates have done here, and I wanted to go to a school that I could contribute to right away, and I think I did that. And so leaving here, leaving the girls, they're gonna keep that up for the rest of the. I hope that it continues with Don and these girls, because they have such a good group.
Coach talked to me pregame, talking to Don Mulhern on our Wildcat pregame show before every game, and he was talking less about what you've done on the court and more about what you've done off of the court as far as mentoring younger players, taking them under your wings, and he was getting choked up. Talk about that. How seriously did you take that this year?
Yeah, since I was kind of checked out last year, I wasn't around the girls that much because I was very incapable of moving. But I don't know, when I came here, I had a group of girls that came and made me feel like I was at home. And I just wanted to be that person for these younger girls, and because I got to sit on the sidelines last year, I thought of it more of a coaching role. I felt like I had a lot of things I could teach the new freshmen, because they were put into a position that they were not necessarily ready for right away, but then they grew into it, and I think that kind of carried over this year. And I just want to build relationships with all the girls, and my sister's gone, a lot of my friends that I was in college are gone, so I just made it a point to make them all feel really comfortable.
What was your favorite moment
this year in college?
In your career?
Oh, man. Beating St. Thomas my sophomore year, I think, was that's on the court. That's my all-time favorite moment.
You haven't lost much in these 5 years since you've been here, and that game was a little bit personal for you and your teammates, too, so that had to feel extra sweet.
That was awesome. That was unbelievable.
At what point do you think, if you had to say, ooh, that week, that month, that stretch, when do you think you played your best basketball in these 4 or 5 years? When did you feel like, oh, I'm locked in right now?
I think toward my junior year, that first year we made playoffs, I think that towards the end of the year, I really finally was okay, I'm locked in, we have this shot, and I think that's when I was playing my best basketball. Maybe the beginning of this year. I don't really know.
How do you think Audra Clark, the senior, is different than Audra Clark, the freshman?
Oh, man. I'm a lot more confident, just in life and in basketball, I guess. Especially in basketball, I was very timid. I was a little shyer when I'm very not shy anymore. So I don't know if it's always been there, but I think St. Kate's is a university that really develops you as a human being. So I think I'm just a lot more confident and open and can talk easily to people.
What are your plans as you head out now into this scary real world? We were talking off air. Adulting, yes, it's something I do every day. Adulting, you'll have to do it now. You talked maybe about staying involved in basketball in some way. What are your plans after your career comes to its conclusion about 2.5 hours from now?
I know. Well, yeah, that's a good question. No, I graduate in May. I'm a social work major, so I'm looking to. I have to go to grad school, but I'm going to look just for jobs. I want to work in the mental health field, like casework and therapy and stuff like that. But I was thinking about, I love basketball so much, and if I want to try the other side because I think I could be a pretty good coach or assistant. So I'm looking at GA options, different places. I'm ready. I can move. I don't mind moving anywhere. So
we'll get you out of here quick because I know you got to catch up with your teammates. But 9 points away from breaking the all-time scoring record. You're already the program's all-time leader in assists. I was talking to Don, and I said, I was thinking, you can never say somebody's the best in program history because there's been a lot of great players, and it's impossible to compare a post player to a guard. But I said, I don't think any player's ever had a bigger impact when you add up assists and points. Do you feel that? I mean, you come in here and you've made more of an impact than any player in program history. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
No, like I guess I don't really think about. My dad said the same thing earlier today, and I was like, oh, you're kind of right about that. But no, I've never felt like I was like this all-star on the team. I just like did my work and did that, and always like I scored my points, and I'm always willing to distribute the ball. And then all of a sudden at the end of this, I have all these numbers in front of me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize I just go out there and play the game, and I don't really think about that kind of stuff. Well,
we'll be talking about them all game long. It's kind of Audra Clark Day on the broadcast, and congrats on a great career. I've called thousands of games over the years. I'm happy that I've never been so wrong, because when you came back this year and came down and were limping around, I was certain that was a career ender. Yeah. Happy to be wrong about that. So good luck today, and congrats again on a great career.
Thank you so much.
Second half.
As a family-owned and operated business since 1971, Goodmanson Construction continues to develop concrete relationships with their commercial and residential customers throughout the upper Midwest. Questions or concerns about concrete, asphalt, and the company's installation process, check out their website at goodmansonconstruction.com. Thank you, Goodmanson Construction. A proud sponsor of Wildcat Athletics since all the way back in 1971, the Universal Athletic Team has been passionate about fueling the dreams of athletes, and they put all their know-how into doing just that. By servicing and selling athletic gear to local athletes, high schools, and colleges, Universal Athletic has dedicated its heart and soul to the support of sports, fitness, and health programs in schools and communities. Transporting Wildcat athletes is in the capable hands of Northfield Lines Incorporated, dedicated to ensuring that your travel experience is a positive one. Call to request a quote or to make a reservation at 888-670-8068 or visit their website at northfieldlines.com. Twin Cities Orthopedics offers a full spectrum of orthopedic care to individuals suffering sports-related problems and injuries. Their doctors are team physicians for St. Catherine's University as well as Augsburg University, Hamlin University, and others around the state of Minnesota. Visit tcomn.com, and thank you to Twin Cities Orthopedics. For exceptional service and selection, look no further than Fury Motors in St. Paul. They're the #1 family-owned dealer to buy a Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram since all the way back in 1963. So much to choose from, and they make the shopping process easy. Also offering genuine service and financing. Visit stpaul.furymotors.com for more information. Peoples Electric Company is your full-service electrical contractor, one of the upper Midwest's largest. From building and process automation, communications, construction services, energy savings, testing, and maintenance. Founded in 1922 by William F. Lindbergh and located in St. Paul, find out more information on Peoples Electric Company at www.peoplesco.com. Wildcat Athletics is proudly supported by the Ryan Company, the Hickey family, U.S. Bank, the Loeffler Companies, Cone U.S., and the Opus Group. Wildcat supporters this season also include Shapco Printing, Sodexo, Terra General Contractors, the O'Neill Group, ProTech Designs, and Floors by Becker. Other Wildcat sponsors include McGough Construction, the DLR Group, Push Pedal and Pull, the Newman Family, Sava Tree, Jimmy John's, and Munchie's Frozen Yogurt.
Welcome back to the Butler Center in St. Paul. The first half dominated by St. Kate's, has them up 48-28 as we welcome you back in. Alongside of engineer Glenn Thompson, I'm Matt Nelson. Macalester shoots 9 of 32 for the first half, good for 27%. St. Kate's goes 20 of 30. They shoot 62% from the floor in the first half. No big deal. That's only about double their season average shooting the ball. That's a remarkably off-the-air. Glenn just asked me if they've ever done that. I mean, probably. Not this team, but I'm sure other teams in, it's probably not the all-time greatest half shooting the basketball for the Wildcats, but I'm sure it's right up there. 20 for 30 is a good 20 minutes of work at the office. More impressive, 5 of 8 shooting the three. So better than 50% shooting the three as well, and this team has really struggled shooting the three ball. 27% on the season. 20 minutes to go in the 2018-2019 season for the Scots and the Wildcats. Clark off of the window, scores and does a little stutter step over the defense. Clark has a baker's dozen, 13 points. Sowerby and Loisel for Macalester. They've to find a way to get Justine Barraza going. She had 27 the first time these two teams played, and she was held to just 5 points in the first half. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Audra Clark at halftime. Reminder, the inbox is open, wildcatsbooth@gmail.com. Whether you're rooting for the Scots or the Wildcats, drop us a note and let us know maybe your favorite game from 2018-2019. We'll do a little poll in the second half as Clark gets fouled by Sowerby. So drop us a note. This goes out to Macalester fans and Wildcat fans. Your favorite game from 2018-2019. Make it an interactive second half to close out the season. We want to know your favorite game from this past year. Glenn, the engineer, did I hear your favorite game is today's? Because of that record-setting shot. Okay, Glenn Thompson, engineer, is on the record. His favorite game of 2018-2019 is today's game against Macalester and the record-breaking efforts of Audra Clark. So again, Macalester fans, Wildcat fans, drop us an email, wildcatsbooth@gmail.com. Let us know your favorite game of the season. Yeah, I think it's an easy one for me. I'm going to go January 12th against Gustavus. Wildcats win 64-58. If you'll remember in that one, Glenn, that was close late, and the Wildcats sealed it on what was the game-winning bucket. Radford long pass to Cambryce in the front court for the layup and the foul. It was like a football right-handed heave by Radford into the front court, and Donica just chased the thing down. He was faster than the ball. And faster than a speeding bullet. That's right, Glenn, you got it. Orth on the rebound off of the Macalester miss. So I'm voting January 12th against Gustavus. 64-58 win. That one's turned over. Nice defense by Togmary to jump in there. Now Loisel going the other way with it. Right at Radford. Header shot blocked. It'll be Macalester ball. I'm going Gustavus on January 12th. I'm trying to think if there'd be any other candidates. They took Augsburg to overtime in Minneapolis. That was back on December 12th. That was pretty good, but unfortunately the Augies won that game. So that could have been a moment. That was one of those games that seemed St. Kate's outplayed him for 38 minutes of the 40, and just the last two got him. Augsburg shoots a lot of threes. Cambrai scoop layup short. Rebound Togmary, good rebounder. Macalester starts 5 guards in their starting lineup. Wildcats have 4 guards in the forward Orth. Nice pass, Clark. Found Cambrai, so got fouled and will go to the line to shoot 2.
Collins on Macalester's number 3, Katie Sully. To the line for the Wildcats number 11, Donica James. Second for Macalester, number 31, Catherine Coyle, number 11, Lucy Swift.
Swift is going to come in, and Burmester as well. Macalester always has a pretty geographically diverse roster. Radford has the loose ball and got tied up by Burmester. 6:58 left in the third quarter. And Benjamin in for the first time in the second half. Second on, well, other than today, second on my list would have been the game against Hamlin. A game that St. Kate's needed to win to stay in the playoff hunt, and they did just that. Cambrace went way up for the rebound over Burmester, and they're going to say that she fouled her in the process. Cambrace's third foul. And it's going to bring Nelson in off of the bench to give Cambrace a breather with those 3 fouls and 11 points. Pamela Finlay, the first-year head coach for Macalester. She took over from Kelly Roisland, who decided to head back to the University of Minnesota, her alma mater, and joined Lindsay Whalen's coaching staff. Her second stint as a assistant. The first was under Pam Borton, and now an assistant coach with her former teammate Whalen. Clark, nice pass for Orth. 2-on-1 and an easy one. Orth to Benjamin. And the Wildcats next year, they'll probably be as good as that trio of Cambryce, Benjamin, and Orth can carry them. 3-pointer off of the back iron for Swift. Offensive board, Barraza. Loisel drives at Johnson, slams on the brakes. Barraza got away from Clark, ran into a double team, tried to get it to Burmester, and Clark swatted it out of bounds, so Macalester will keep it with 19 seconds on the shot clock. Amaker and Hull re-enter. I asked Don Mullerin in the pregame show, any trouble getting your team up for this game? You know, they had the season on the line Wednesday night against St. Mary's, and I thought he gave me a great answer. He said, there better not be. There'd be no excuse to. You got 25 games in a year. That's it. Lots of players would like to play at the collegiate level and don't get a chance. Nice pass that time. Benjamin finds Orth, who has a dozen. Last time it was Orth to Benjamin. This time Benjamin to Orth. And he said this is just a special opportunity and this is the fun stuff. So if you have trouble getting up for this, then we've got problems. Podol steps back and knocks it down. She's got 4. Wildcats, though, still lead by 25. And I thought that was a really great answer. And his team has shown that. They've lived it. And they've definitely played loose. They were only down 2 points to St. Mary's with 9 minutes and 50 seconds to go in that game in Winona, before falling to St. Mary's. Wildcats, great first half, 60% from the floor, acing them to a 20-point lead, and they've added on to that lead here in the second half. This 25-point lead is their biggest of the afternoon. Burmester, three-pointer, short. Offensive board, Podol. Venegas poked it away. Benjamin jumps in, jump ball.
Serving for Wildcats, number 15, Jackie Radford, and number 40, Cassie Jenkins. Also serving as number 25, Mackenzie Denton.
Lindsay Detman in for the Wildcats, along with Amaker, Venegas, Jenkins, and Radford. Some more seldom used players in this group of 5. Radford drives, pulls up, and scores. Radford averaging 6 points and 6 boards per game this season. Started all 25 games for Don Mulhern. At times struggled with her shot, but just kept doing all the little things you need to do to win ball games out there for Coach Mulhern. Offensive rebound and a putback. Podol at 6. And Radford will definitely be called upon to lead next year's team. Don Mulhern wants a timeout. He gets it. Wildcats in control, 57-32 the score from St. Paul. You're listening to Wildcat Basketball.
As a family-owned and operated business since 1971, Goodmanson Construction continues to develop concrete relationships with their commercial and residential customers throughout the upper Midwest. Questions or concerns about concrete, asphalt, and the company's installation process, check out their website at goodmansonconstruction.com. Thank you, Goodmanson Construction. A proud sponsor of Wildcat Athletics since all the way back in 1971, the Universal Athletic Team has been passionate about fueling the dreams of athletes, and they put all their know-how into doing just that. By servicing and selling athletic gear to local athletes, high schools, and colleges, Universal Athletic has dedicated its heart and soul to the support of sports, fitness, and health programs in schools and communities.
Bring it back into St. Paul. Again, this is a group of 5 that we didn't often see this season. You got Venegas out there with Isaacson and Jenkins, Detman, and Radford. See if they can find a bucket. Jenkins outside. Venegas. Now Detman. And a collision and a foul is going to be called, and it's going to be called against Amaker, as she collided with Barraza with 3:11 to go in this third quarter. With the score lopsided as it is at this point, critical minutes for young players to get a chance to play some regular season action ahead of next year, and a foul's called on Detman. Sophomore of Hutchinson. give us a chance to say our thank yous. Thank you to Eric Stacy, Athletics Director here at St. Kate's, for his support of these broadcasts all season long. Araza three-pointer is off, and the rebound for Amaker. Had a chance to rap with him before the game down in his office. He was watching the swimming and diving tournament for the MIAC down at the University of Minnesota Aquatic Center. Wildcats, I saw, had a great first day in that competition. Venegas scores off of the window. And thank you to Lindsay. Had a chance to thank her at halftime for all of her hard work down in athletic communications, for making our broadcast possible and facilitating those Wildcat player profiles we brought to you all season long. Make sure to thank her as well. And Mr. Glenn Thompson, our engineer. And a nice salute off to my right shoulder here. You don't get to hear from Glenn as much as I do off of the air, and you can probably be grateful for that. We only allow him 60 seconds of airtime per year, and he used it up earlier this year. It's gone. It's done. I think so. Who's making the rules around here? Travel. Macalester turned it over. But I don't know. I think you said something during volleyball season. I can't remember. It was funny, I'm sure, no doubt about it. But in all seriousness, I'll make my speech that I always make. Glenn is the hardworking one out of this duo, bringing you these games from St. Paul. His expertise and his hard work makes these shows possible. Thank you, Glenn, for another good year. It's an unenviable task to pull these things off with me and make me look and sound good, but you do it every year, so thank you, sir. And it's been a pleasure. Another great year from St. Paul. Glenn and I have been at this for a while now. Mm-hmm. Holly Hull goes off of the window, and she's in double digits. Hull with 10 points. Now it's Brown driving and kicking for Venegas. Three-pointer, too strong. And a foul call away from the basketball in the scrum for the rebound. I think it's going to be Podol that they caught. No, instead they're going to call Jenkins for the Wildcats on this season finale. So thank you, Glenn Thompson, again, for all of your hard work all season long with volleyball, basketball. What sports have we not done, Glenn, as a duo? Baseball, football, basketball, volleyball. I'm saying these are sports we've done. About the only thing we have left ahead of us is underwater basket weaving, badminton. Well, TJ Sports Online does hockey coverage. Yes, together we have not done hockey. But after that, it's we're down to about interpretive dance and underwater basket weaving, I think, is all that we've got left to complete our resume. Venegas down low, one dribble. Jenkins got fouled, so go to the free throw line. No, those. See, you're just proving my point off of the microphone in this lopsided game. This is why we don't give you the microphone. This is why you only get 60 seconds a year. My rule. You get 60 seconds of airtime. Off air, I was just asked if those are real sports. No, they are not. And as punishment, you've lost your 60 seconds for next year. We'll see you in 2020. How's that sound? Jenkins knocks them both down. Nice trip to the line for Jenkins. 61-34 lead for St. Kate's. Again, you can't do it as a coach. You can't do it as a player. But you can as a broadcaster, and that is play the what-if game. If the Wildcats beat St. Mary's on Wednesday night, they would be officially punching their ticket to the MIAC's postseason and a date with Bethel on Tuesday night in Arden Hills. And they've just played so well against Macalester this afternoon that you can't help but think, what if? Brown comes down to the loose ball. And it's the end of the third quarter. 61-34 the score. The crowd is rocking in St. Paul. The Wildcats are playing splendid basketball. And we'll break with the players. 10 minutes to go in the 2018-2019 season from St. Paul when we come back.
Transporting Wildcat athletes is in the capable hands of Northfield Lines Incorporated, dedicated to ensuring that your travel experience is a positive one. Call to request a quote or to make a reservation at 888-670-8068 or visit their website at northfieldlines.com. Twin Cities Orthopedics offers a full spectrum of orthopedic care to individuals suffering sports-related problems and injuries. Their doctors are team physicians for St. Catherine's University as well as Augsburg University, Hamline University, and others around the state of Minnesota. Visit tcomn.com and thank you to Twin Cities Orthopedics.
If you're just joining us, Audra Clark, 12 points in the ball game. That was enough to break the all-time scoring record in St. Kate's history. So Clark now with the 12 points. Again, let's get into some math here. A scary proposition, but Clark now with 1,480 points. That's a nice round even number as the program's all-time leading scorer. And a scary thought for Macalester. Don Mulhern just put his starters back into the game. Johnson in, Cambryce in, Orth in, Clark in, and Radford in with 10 minutes to go. And the Wildcats up 61-34. Again, Macalester walloped St. Kate's back in mid-January, one of their 4 MIAC wins this season. And I talked to Don about that before the game, and he said it was a lesson that you just have to take every game seriously. You got to have great focus, great energy for every game, no matter what gym you're playing in and no matter who you're playing against on that night. But if you wanted to play the what-if game for St. Kate's, probably 3 games stand out. The Macalester game in mid-January at the Leonard Center. Embrace rebound. The Augsburg game in Minneapolis at Cy Melby Hall back on December 12th. That was an overtime loss against a really good team. And then leading 35-30 and only down by 3 in Winona on Wednesday night against St. Mary's. That would probably be the other what-if game. It's tough when you look at the scheduling of the MIAC. Nice bucket for Radford. She's got 4 points. It's an unbalanced schedule, so not everybody plays the same schedule. You don't play some teams twice. Like the Wildcats only played Hamline once, but they had to play Gustavus twice, you know, so Augsburg twice. St. Thomas twice, if memory serves. No, just once against St. Thomas. But, you know, the schedule was grueling early for a very young team. They had to grow up pretty quickly. If you look at that opening part of the schedule, at St. Thomas, this was back in December, at St. Thomas, playoff team. St. Ben's, playoff team. St. Olaf missed the postseason. Augsburg, playoff team. And then a win against Carleton before playing Bethel and St. Thomas and Gustavus. So we did have St. Thomas twice. The unbalanced schedule off air, Glenn asked when did they switch that, when they went to the 18-game conference season. Orth, down low off of the window. Wildcats are all over Macalester. A 31-point lead. Orth has 14. So again, with the 12 points today, 13 points today, Audra Clark will leave the program as its all-time leading scorer and all-time assist leader. Araza, three-pointer. She's got 8 points. Floating pass down low. Clark adds to her total. Clark now has 15 in the game, into the front court. Macalester in a hurry, and Clark blocks the shot, and it's out of bounds, and it's Wildcat ball. That final playoff spot was still up for grabs this afternoon. St. Mary's was playing St. Thomas. They would clinch the 6th seed with a win over the Tommies, which would be hard to come by, or a Hamlin loss. We'll give a check of the old out-of-town scoreboard and see if our friendly communications directors around the conference are up to the task of updating the out-of-town scoreboard so we can see how the playoffs are shaping up. Here in St. Paul, Wildcats padding their lead with Radford, who now has 6.
Follows called on the Wildcats number 34, Isaacson.
Isaacson called for the foul. 2 free throws for Loisel, and Loisel misses her first. St. Thomas and Augsburg in women's basketball will get buys on Tuesday night. They'll host home games on Thursday before the MIAC's championship game, which will be played a week from today. Ambrace rebound. After that, it's Bethel, Gustavus, and St. Ben's, and then, as I mentioned, that final playoff spot in between St. Mary's and Hamlin. Free for the Wildcats. Isaacson having a nice game. 7 points now for Isaacson. It's 72-37. And I mentioned again, if you want to play what if, Don Mulhern sitting over there going, boy, if I could get 80, 90 points in my team every night out, we would have won 15 games in the MIC. Radford drives, kicks, and Kurchek knocks down the three-pointer. Wildcats are pouring it on. 5 minutes and 51 seconds to go in Winona. St. Thomas is clobbering St. Mary's 68-46. So what that means is that final playoff spot will be determined by the Bethel-Hamlin game. See if I can't get a update on that score. Elsewhere around the conference today, Augsburg hosting St. Olaf. St. Mary's at home against St. Thomas. The Cobbers way behind with 10 minutes to go against Gustavus at home. Three seconds on the shot clock for Macalester. Barraza drives, lost it, and it's a shot clock violation. Bethel's all over Hamlin. Just got the update from the Midway neighborhood in St. Paul. 68-44 the score there. So it looks like the Royals are going to beat the Pipers, and that would be good news if you're Cardinals fans. It'll send the Cardinals from Winona into the MIAC's postseason. And again, that doggone what-if game, both of the teams that hypothetically the Wildcats would have needed to lose today are both going to do that. Clark tied up, and a jump ball's called. 5:35 to go in this ball game from St. Paul. 38-point lead for St. Kate's. But again, a big thanks to Wildcat sponsors who make these broadcasts possible. Lindsay downstairs, Eric, athletics director, Glenn, our engineer. Three-pointer for the Scots is a nice one. Podol. 9 points for Podol. And normally we got to thank a bunch of people pinch hitting for me, but I think we had pretty good attendance this year. Brown lost her footing and turned it over. It's chased down by Sowerby. Isaacson, the steal. Lost it under the basket, got fouled and won. 9 points for Isaacson and a chance at a three-point play. The lead is 37. Talk about taking a nice feeling into the offseason. My, oh my.
And the Wildcats were 10, Ashley Costas.
Costas will come in for Don Mulhern. Wildcat ball in front of their bench. It was last touched by Sowerby. And again, boy, the Wildcats are playing very loose right now. They've got great energy, enthusiasm. That bench is rocking and rolling down there. You know, I always like to do this in the last game of the season. I like to look back at preseason predictions from the coaches and see how they did. You know, we talk a lot about preseason polls and use that as a way to gauge expectations for a team. And it's always fun to look back at the end of the year and see just how right or wrong those coaches were. St. Thomas was picked to finish first, and that obviously happened. Gustavus was picked to finish second. They're going to make the postseason. Foul will send Costas to the free throw line. Bethel third, that checks out. St. Ben's fourth, they're off to the playoffs as well. Augsburg was picked to finish fifth. They actually get the first round bye and go in second. St. Mary's sixth, and St. Kate's was picked to finish seventh. That's exactly where they're going to finish after the win today and the Hamlin loss. Costas knocks down her first. So the coaches accurately predicted all 6 playoff teams in the preseason. 6 for 6, 100%. Got them all right. Pretty close. Misfired on the Augsburg one, 5th, where they finished 2nd. Macalester ball, last touch by Benjamin. So the coaches were 6 for 6. St. Thomas, Gustavus, Bethel, St. Ben's, Augsburg, and St. Mary's. Wildcats were picked to finish 7th. Concordia 8th, Hamlin 9th, Carleton 10th, St. Olaf and Macalester 12th. Macalester outperformed their expectations as well in Pamela Finlay's first season. 4:04 to go here in St. Paul. It's pretty interesting though, isn't it? They go 6 for 6 like that, picking those 6 teams. You know, game to game, anything can happen, but over the course of a season, they pick St. Kate's to finish 7th. That's exactly where they fall. That bottom half of the conference, Carleton came into today 0-17 in the conference. Macalester 4-13, St. Olaf 5-12, Concordia right there at 5-12 as well. And then St. Kate's and Hamlin on the outside looking into the playoffs. Barraza to the free throw line. 3rd foul against the Wildcats in this 4th quarter, and the 3rd against Detman. Barraza had 27 in the first game between these two teams, well short of that total so far here. That's her 9th point. Good trip to the stripe for Barraza. Good player. Just a sophomore. She's going to be a handful the next 2 years for Macalester. Good scorer, good free throw shooter, tenacious player. Loisel drives baseline, at her shot blocked by Fosness. Rebound Clark. Audra into the front court. Pedal to the metal. Had it poked away by Loisel. Macalester ball now. We will have postseason basketball for you on TJSportsOnline.net's coverage. On the women's side, Augsburg into the playoffs. We'll have those games for you. Clark spins her way into the front court. Finds Benjamin with a perfect pass. Benjamin can't finish it off. Rebound Perkins. Make sure to call out Perkins again, playing in her final collegiate game. Don Mulhern wants a timeout. He'll get it. Wildcats have dominated right from the opening buzzer. 78-42 the score, and you're listening to Wildcat Basketball.
For exceptional service and selection, look no further than Fury Motors in St. Paul. They're the #1 family-owned dealer to buy a Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram since all the way back in 1963. So much to choose from, and they make the shopping process easy. Also offering genuine service.
Coming out of the timeout, we're cutting it short. Hugs all around, one for everyone on the bench. Audra Clark heads to the bench, and that's going to be a wrap on her career. Playing in the Butler Center, playing for St. Kate's. 78-42 the score. Audra Clark did everything her team needed her to do for her entire career, as well as today breaking that record. Scoring 15 points, it was more than enough. She only needed 9. So 6 extra just for good measure. And her career now has come to a close. Some tears on the bench, some high fives, some hugs. For 5 great years playing college basketball. Benjamin too strong on the free throw. And again, congratulations to Audra Clark. The lone senior on this team is Clark. On a great career.
Entering the game for the Wildcats, number 4, Sam Hogan.
Full timeout taken on the floor. Let's do it with them. 78-42 the score. 2:41 to go. Clark's day is over, and the Wildcats will look to finish out the season strong when we come back.
Visit stpaul.furymotors.com for more information. Peoples Electric Company is your full-service electrical contractor, one of the Upper Midwest's largest. From building and process automation, communications, construction services, energy savings, testing, and maintenance. Founded in 1922 by William F. Lindbergh and located in St. Paul, find out more information on Peoples Electric Company at www.peoplesco.com. Wildcat Athletics is proudly supported by the Ryan Company, the Hickey family, U.S. Bank, the Loeffler Companies, Cone U.S., and the Opus Group. Wildcat supporters this season also include Shapco Printing.
Bring you back in out of the timeout. Welcome you back in. The Wildcats putting the finishing touches on a very impressive win here today against Macalester. Looks like they'll split the season series with the Scots. Don Mulhern going into his bench for some faces that we haven't seen much of this year. Kerchek is out there. We saw a lot of her. Sam Hogan is on the floor. Sophie Willems. Kerchek's going to go to the free throw line. Jillian Folk. And Stephanie Miller as well. Kerchek makes good on her second. It's a 38-point lead. Very convincing win for St. Kate's. Wildcats will keep it after it was poked away by Podol. But really the story of the MIAC's postseason in women's basketball is going to be foul's going to be called against Macalester. They're in the Wildcats are in the bonus, so that means free throws upcoming. I mean, the story is going to be, can anybody upend St. Thomas? They've been on such a great run of basketball the last 2 years. They're going to go 18-0 in the conference this year. Can somebody pick them off in the playoffs? I guess if I had to pick one of the teams that could do it, if I had to pick one, as Perkins goes to the bench, and she's obviously very emotional as well for Macalester. Addie Perkins, that's a wrap on her career playing for the Scots. A great career. Playing 4 years for Macalester out of St. Louis Park, Minnesota. But I don't know. If I had to pick two teams that could do it, I guess I'll say Bethel and Augsburg. How's that? But you're going to need to come out and make 14, 15 three-pointers, something like that. You're going to have to make threes. I know that much. I don't think you can just go out there and ground them and pound them. I think you got to really light it up. Sounds simplistic, but both of those teams can do that. Kerchek drives with the left hand, gives it a little float, and gets fouled. 2 free throws coming up for Kerchek. You know, one thing you see about Kerchek with these players, these are the players that she plays with on JV competition and a lot in practice, and she definitely looks more comfortable, looks more assertive, looks more sure of herself out there. First shot no good for Kerchek. 1:22 to go. And this obviously will be the most convincing win of the season for St. Kate's. Kerchek misses them both. And before I say something wrong, 83 is the game high. That was in overtime, though. And so with a minute to go, the Wildcats can even eclipse that total. But these 82 points are the most they've scored all season long in regulation. Obviously paced by a great first half. 1 minute to go in the season. Three-pointer knocked down Podol. Podol has quietly had a nice game with 12 points. And they're going to tag 2 more seconds onto the clock. We'll be back with you from St. Kate's in the Butler Center next fall for volleyball and basketball as well for Don Mulhern and company. I do feel like I can share this with the listeners. This year's group has been particularly enjoyable to be around. Really special group of players. There's no question about that. Fifth foul against Sowerby means the sophomore from Mill City, California's day has come to a close. She fouls out with 47 seconds left in the ball game. Kerchek heads back to the free throw line. A couple of makes here would be game high in points for the Wildcats. First shot, though, no good for Kerchek. It's Macalester ball. But the story of the day, early on in the second quarter, Audra Clark, a three-pointer to become the program's all-time leading scorer. It was an interesting possession, too, as Kerchek scores, game high now on the season, 84 points. The most the Wildcats have scored in any ball game, and Kerchek now with 7 points on the game. .22 on the shot clock, 23 on the game clock. But the Wildcats are going to play this thing out with their younger players. This, for a lot of these five, these are valuable minutes to them. Long two is good. Nice shot by Togmiri. Seven seconds left in the season for St. Kate's. Short shot is good. And that'll be the final buzzer as the final basket of the season is Willems. And the Wildcats win. They win 86-47, a 39-point win for St. Kate's. And you can close the book on Don Mulhern's second season in St. Paul with the Wildcats. This year's team finishes with a record of 11-4. They finish 8-10 in MIAC play. For Macalester, they finish 6-19, 4-14 overall in the MIAC. Audra Clark, her career comes to a close on what we called Audra Clark Day at the Butler Center. She leaves the program as its all-time leading scorer, all-time leader in assists, all-time leader in hard-nosed basketball too. So that's a wrap on 2018-2019 from St. Paul. Once again, I'm Matt Nelson. Our engineer, Glenn Thompson. You got that microphone there, sir.
Are you going to allow me one extra 60-second block?
Yes, of course. That was all a bunch of BS. Yes, sir.
Just remember who's got the buttons over here.
That's right, the knobs and the buttons.
But I will say thank you to the hardest-working basketball play-by-play guy anywhere.
I don't know about that.
And
you must be talking about Tom Witchin or something.
Yes. And you make it so easy to make you sound good just because you're so easy to work with, and I appreciate that every time we come out. It is so much fun to work with you, Matt. So thank you for an excellent season. Looking forward to next year.
Thank you, Glenn. And like I always say, you do it for the people, and you are one of the good people. So like I said, your hard work and your expertise, they make it easy on me.
And thank you for indulging me in dumb, stupid jokes.
Always.
Yes.
Always. That'll carry over to next year. Fortunately for us, regrettably for the listener.
The best are off air, though.
Thank heavens for that. The final score, 86-47, as St. Kate's defeats Macalester. And for one last time this season, we thank you for spending a part of your day with us. And we sign off from the Butler Center. And one last time we say, Go Cats!